So let's be deliberate about tending our gardens. I feel like that sounds like so like Montessori, but it's crazy how all the lessons you really needed in life was learned in nursery school, kindergarten. That's actually true. There's actually a book, so all the lessons I need to know, everything I need to know I learned in kindergarten, right? Be nice to your neighbor. Don't steal. No hitting. Like literally everything you need to know about life you learn in kindergarten. Be kind. Sing songs to memorize everything. Take a nap. Oh gosh. So let's shift the paradigm and say, here's well-being. That's the framework. And I live my life in that framework. That's how we make that transformation of making wellness something that we do to something that we are. On all the spheres, all the sides of you woo-woo people help me out. All the dimensions of our well-being. Physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, right? Socially, right? Our connection. And I also want to put in environmentally. How we view the earth, how we view our interaction with the earth, right? I'm throwing environmentally in there because I think sometimes we leave that out, but that is a very important, how we view ourselves inside. Hey girl, no worries. How we see ourselves inside is how we interact with each other, it's how we interact with the world, how we interact with the earth. So let's shift the paradigm and think about our holistic wellness as the framework. That's life. That's the framework within which we live our life, rather than having life and then that drop of well-being, right? Shift the paradigm. More specifically, be deliberate. Now, I want everybody to imagine you're in a space as a garden, right? This garden has nothing in it yet. Nothing. Where do we start? Put a little topsoil, plant a little flowers, maybe a tree, mahogany, neem. I like hibiscus. What is it? Lady of the night, something. Orchids. Maybe a little water feature somewhere. A little space for you to sketch your beautiful pictures. Right? That's when you're being deliberate. Now imagine the opposite. Garden. Not deliberate. Roots and shoots and weeds and maybe some snakes. I don't know. Not deliberate. And not the cute, not deliberate nature wilderness type, right? This is like the fenced off, left to ruin, left not to be deliberate. So imagine you're in a space as a garden and just begin to be deliberate about what you place in there, how you place it, how you arrange it, right? Care about what enters your inner space. Care about what you let sit there. And very soon we're going to talk about mindset. Right? So let's be deliberate about tending our gardens. I feel like that sounds like so like Montessori, but it's crazy how all the lessons you really needed in life was learned in nursery school, kindergarten. That's actually true. There's actually a book, so all the lessons I need to know, everything I need to know I learned in kindergarten, right? Be nice to your neighbor. Don't steal. No hitting. Like literally everything you need to know about life you learn in kindergarten. Be kind. Sing songs to memorize everything. Take a nap. Oh gosh. Take a nap. Go outside. Go outside. How they used to make us go outside in kindergarten and run around and get, right?
Breathe in and out.
Breathe in and out. Just breathe. Breathe. What was like all the little lessons in kindergarten? Walk, like, you know, just walk slowly. Don't run through life. Don't walk. Don't run. Eat your veggies. Eat your veggies. Take quiet time. Go in time out. Give yourself time outs. Literally everything we actually need to know, we learned in right. Everything. And then like kind of goes downhill from there. But other than that, just think about all the lessons you learned in kindergarten. Your inner space is a garden. I feel like there's a lot of songs about gardens and flowers, and just remember that, right? Great. So move on to the next learning area. Sorry, were there any other questions from the last part that I can put on? Okay. How do we master mindset and overcome habits that get in the way of maintaining a positive state of well-being? This is like one of my favorite things to talk about. Because mindset is everything. Mindset is everything. Your inner conversations, okay, will rule your outer destiny. It will determine what you are able to accomplish in life based on inner conversations. And everybody in here, we have a default. We've developed a default of how we talk to ourselves. When I was going through my process of self-awareness and realized that my default was very negative. My default was very like, stank. It was very stank. Like it was stank. Like, no. I'm better than that. Ew. Everything was just like, how do they say in tree? Like, like you're just like, you're going through life and you're just not really enjoying it because you're viewing everything through sort of this anxious, you're anxious. Well, what I now see is what is anxiety really, you know, which is like clinical, just put me in this constant state of negativity of like, it's not a good idea. So I want to start with this quotation by spiritual teacher and author Eckhart Tolle. He's one of my friends. Yeah. I told you, like I hang out with my friends during my morning commute. So he's one of my friends, and he says, don't wait to be successful at some future point, have a successful relationship, but the present moment and be fully present in whatever you are doing, that is success. I put this up because I wanted to also just make the point that one of the most important mindsets that we need to sort of get rid of is success existing in some future point, or our lives, not just success, but just our lives existing in some future point. Like never just being in this moment. Think about every moment you've been mad. Were you in the now? Or were you in the past or the future? Every moment you had an unnecessary argument, or just an argument, period. I don't want to judge it by calling it unnecessary, because sometimes people need to check. But just think about any time you've had an argument. Were you in the now? Were you operating in that moment, or were you replaying some past trauma or some future point that might never happen? You know, some of the most pointless arguments happen because we're not in the moment. We're thinking, well, what does this mean? What is this? I don't get it. Like this, the last time this happened, this is what was really happening. And I'm pretty, but you know, I don't really trust, because you know, it could have been, because yes, these are the conversations I've had with myself many, many, many times. And before you know it, you're like in 1994. You're in 1994 replaying something that went down according to how you saw it, which usually is, memory is so subjective, first of all. But You're somewhere in 1994 at some random whatever, and you remember, yeah, that TLC song was playing, and before you, like, you're not in now. But what if you brought yourself back to the moment? Just back to the moment, now. Now. Your mindsets don't have that control over you because you're in the now. You bring your attention to your big toe. What's my big toe doing right now? Am I grounded? Do I feel the ground beneath me? Do I feel a sense of groundedness? Am I here? Oh, I don't feel here. Okay. What else? Okay. I don't feel here, but I am here. Okay. What else can I feel? Always bring yourself back to the moment now. And I have been through a lot of moments where I'm having I'm having a conversation that's leaving me very triggered. Right? I'm having a conversation that's about one thing, but I'm being triggered in something else. And it's like the reaction is coming from the fact that this person's not trying to disrespect you. You're just triggered. And just doing the mental exercise of bringing ourselves back to now. Yes.
Are there some set of questions, or is there a specific exercise to remind you that you're in the present?
So one of the things that so the big toe thing was actually an exercise. Like literally taking attention to so pressing your big toe down, putting pressure on it, and bringing your attention back to the pressure on your big toe. It brings you back to that moment. That's one way of doing it. Another way is also begin to take account of things in the room. If you're in a room or if you're in a space, just begin to take account of things in the room, right? Just account. Some XYZs to my left, so-and-so's to my right. The wall is orange. Just bring yourself in that moment. Begin to just to bring yourself back into it. I think you had your hand up.
I find myself in the same situation. Like my mind is always racing.
Yeah.
I think of scenarios, how I should have done something. Sometimes I just want to concentrate, but I find it's a bit hard because I'm thinking about the past, the future, something which should happen, something of that sort. So I think I really need this because I want to sometimes just concentrate on now. Because I try. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it works, sometimes.
Yeah. How did you get to a place of living in the past or the future? By thinking about it, right?
Yeah.
See where I'm going with this? By thinking about it. It's hard, but if you do it long enough, it becomes a habit. Just start thinking about the present. The very same thing that you're doing that's causing you sort of like not able to concentrate, just start thinking about the now. Right now, you have this gorgeous poof on your head. It's beautiful. Natural hair looking moisturized. Drop a hair care routine if you may. Right? Bring yourself always back to the now. Always. It's a mental exercise that is not easy. And for me, one of the things that really helped me was yoga. Really, really helped me was yoga. Just by doing yoga every day, starting my day with yoga. And with yoga, you can't be in the present. So you can't be in the past or the future, because you can actually hurt yourself if you're not present. So if you're in half moon, go ahead and think about the past. It might fall in your face. I think yoga has that effect, and I think from doing so much yoga as habitually, it just made me more aware of the present. But with yoga really helped me with the present, like just being in the moment. Yes, Cozy. of now. Yeah, I was just about to get there. But yes, yeah. Great book. Great book. I have a copy. So maybe it could be our first book club read on Just Glow With It. The Power of Now. Okay.
I have a question.
Yes.
Okay. So, I mean, we're talking about sort of being in the now, and I feel like right now in this moment, I'm in the now, just really taking in everything you're saying, your energy, this feel of the space, and that is actually triggering me because I'm like, okay, I need to do this and this and this and this in my other life to sort of be able to get to a space of this level of calmness, right? So it's like I'm taking it in, I'm taking all the points in, and then I'm thinking about the things I need to do for self to be able to be in the now. And that do you know what I'm saying? It's like a crazy little cycle that's happening in my head right now. So
Yeah, but you're doing it to yourself. You're thinking.
I know,
Stop thinking.
I know, bro. I know. But how do you stop thinking when we're still in life? Like, we still have things to be responsible for. We still have things that we need to do. Like, I need to leave here and go see my family.
The idea is that you don't stop having responsibilities. That's not the idea, is that you stop having responsibilities, or you have responsibilities, but you don't need to worry about them.
Okay.
Like, pay the bill, show up to the meeting, don't worry about the meeting. So I like, it can get a little complex, and a little like woo-woo. But this is why we always advocate clearing that inner space, because the more you clear that inner space, the inner voice, you can hear your inner voice a little bit more. You know what I mean? But it's just about clearing. But like you said, okay, I'm in the now. Then all of a sudden I start thinking about all the things I have to do. That's a future statement. Right. So now we done left the now. And you think about the future is what's stressing you out, not being in the now. It's oh, this is cool. I feel real good right now. Okay. Oh, snap. It's practice. It's a muscle. Yeah. I'm right there with you. Like, I'm one of the most neurotic people. It's taken a lot of work to at least be able to stand up here and have this conversation. But it does not necessarily mean that, like, I've made it. I'm like in the fifth dimension. No, girl. No. Like, right, the struggle is still real. Yes.
Sometimes you can try to be in the now in a conversation. But this other person that you are talking to forever is taking you, like, constantly trying to take you out of the present, to the point where you don't even understand what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And
I know what you mean. Yeah. Sometimes.
Because you're practicing for yourself.
And sometimes your now moment was like, right now, I'm going to punch this person in your face. That's really what I want to do. That's right. Like, right now, that's me right now. Right? I also think it's important that wherever you find yourself, sit with it. Sit with it. I know. Woo. For people who've been told that, like, you can't be idle, that's the hardest thing. Literally, sit with it. I feel like right now, this person is like on one. And here I am trying to be Eckhart Tolle and be, Zen, Buddha, whatever, calm person. And I can't go with that right now. But I will say that whatever feelings come in the now, sit with it. Right? So right now, I feel a little concerned and start to walk that backwards to now. So I'm dealing with an individual. I'm trying to be in the now. I'm trying not to be, it doesn't mean you don't get angry. Just because you're in the now doesn't mean you don't get upset and you don't get, like, irritated. You're human. Like, that, it is what it is. But I think it's what we do with those moments of frustration that is also very critical. So, okay, example. I hope this works. You're in the moment, you're trying to practice these practices of authenticity and the now and everything, and this person's irritating you. I'll give you an exercise. Okay. Sometimes our values clash. And sometimes what's happening is that your values and individuals' values is coming like this. Maybe you value things being on time, and maybe that person values getting it right. So sometimes in that conversation, try to guess the person's values. Listen to them, just try to guess the person's values. And once you are able to guess or identify those values, even though they sound and look ridiculous, try to give them grace for that value. Because if your value is, I need it now, and the person is saying, I'm assuming, I don't know, because you work with a lot of artisans, right? I'm assuming somebody's saying, for instance, you're talking to an artisan, and you're like, I need this now. And artisan say, oh, but madam, you know that. And try to guess the person's value, and give them grace for their value.
What do you mean by what do you mean by give them grace for their
Give them grace for their values. Yeah, it has to be done. For who? Because there are two souls in that conversation. It's all of us, right? There's more than one soul in this moment, and we all come with different values. I'm not saying I'm not saying you're not allowed to be upset or irritated. But I'm saying that one practice you can give yourself to check yourself when you're just guess the person's values. That, okay, my values of needing things done how I want it, when I want it, is coming against your value of foolishness. So, jokes. Your value, okay, so my value to need it done, to get it, to need it now, when I need it, I done paid you money, and this is how you want to do me. It's coming against your value of sometimes when people don't know how to do something, they don't know how to ask for help. So your value is self-reliance. I'm just saying guess. And try to give them grace for that. I'm not saying it's hard. I'm not saying it's easy. Grace doesn't mean excuse terrible behavior. That's not what grace means. Grace just means I'm not going to identify my feelings with this person's failure on their part. Right? Like, we try to move according to our wavelength. It takes practice. It's like a muscle. You keep practicing long enough, then you start asking for grace from others. Because the irony is that we love getting grace from other people. We don't like giving it. That's the truth. We love it. We love it. We love it. Okay? So I want to move on. Okay, so did I already say? Everything you do, every decision you make, everything you think, and every attitude and belief you hold fits into the framework that you built. Right? Framework, thoughts, actions, life, all that stuff in there, right? It's not life and then wellness. Maybe my thoughts go here. No. We build the framework and then we build all the actions in between. So, as we already discussed, step 1, accept that you're in control of your life, the power of now. Also a great book by Eckhart Tolle, as Cozy mentioned to us. Great book if you want to get started. I had it on audiobook. His voice is literally sounds like Jesus. Well, joking. Like his voice is like really like it's ominous. Like it sounds epic. I had to pause a little bit because I was like, I can't listen to this like in the dark. Like this is a lot. But power of now. This is hard. But you know what? Join the Facebook group and we will continue to talk about it. Let's continue to have this the point is conversation, sis, right? Let's keep talking about it. Let's just keep talking about it. Let's keep talking about it. Let's keep talking about it. Like, we no longer want to live in the paradigm we're shifting today is no, we're not living in silence no more. Right? So come on our little Facebook group, not little, it's big. Come on our Facebook group and be like, okay, so I'm trying to be in the now in this situation. What do you suggest? Right? let's just keep talking about it. Let's just keep open. Let's stay vulnerable with one another, because that's the only way we're really going to grow. Step 2, which is technically step 1, but it's just as important as step 1. You are worthy enough to show up for yourself. We all know mindsets that hold us back. But I think what's more important is that we are worthy. If you see yourself as worthy, when I realized that I was powerful enough, because I've had to deal with a lot of internal anger about society. Things make me very angry. When things don't go right, it's just so angry, so much anger, so much angst about the world. Angry about one thing or another. Just my response to everything was just this brooding internal anger. And I realized that, oh, wait a minute. I can do this. I have the agency to do this. I have the agency to make a change. I am worthy of showing up for myself. The things that make me angry. And so I've made a change, making a change, that I am now committed to be the solution. That's my commitment. My commitment is to be the solution. I'm still going to get mad, but that anger will consistently be transformed into showing up for myself and my community. Welcome to my TED Talk. So, we are worthy to show up for ourselves. We have master of mind because we are in the power of now, and we're worthy to show up for ourselves. So when we think about wellness and overcoming mindset and habits, just remember that I'm showing up for myself, right? I'm becoming the mindset that says I'm not enough. I'm becoming the mindset that dark-skinned girls can't wear red lipstick. I actually believed that for a very long time. I did not wear bright lipstick for a very long time because I believed that dark-skinned girl, people come out. So there's so many mindsets. I actually thought dark-skinned girls shouldn't wear red lipstick. I was okay, so no red lipstick for your girl. And it wasn't it was these small little things that were being inserted. You know what I mean? There's just, gosh, man, I'm getting tongue-tied because there's so many things. And as women, it's always got to do with our bodies. You know what I mean? It's always something. It's always something. It's always something. Pretty tall girls shouldn't wear heels. You're too tall to wear that. I spent most of my life trying to make myself, there's nothing about me that is small. Not my height, not my feet, sorry, not my height, not my voice, not my personality. Nothing about me was meant to be shoved behind a door. So nothing about me was meant to be shoved behind a curtain. But I spent so much of my life trying to make myself less noticeable. There's nothing about me that isn't noticeable. And coming to a place of accepting that, oh, okay, I can show up a little bit. A little red lipstick here. Oh, heels. Okay. Here and there. But it wasn't it was one day and the door flung open. It was even having the mindset to give myself permission to even approach the door. That is a mindset break. And then to reach out to the lock. And then to turn the key. And then to open the door. To creak it open bit by bit by bit. Every single one of those shifts was a mindset shift. To even give myself the permission to begin to approach that conversation. And it really, really came about from me recognizing that I am worthy by virtue of existing. Nobody validates my worth for me. Nobody. Nobody validates my worth for me. I'm the only home I know. I can only validate my journey for myself. It's not easy, but at the end of the day, I want to meet God, and I just want her to be proud of me. I'm just saying. All I want is a well done, sis. So, we'll move on. Engage in mental exercises to absorb new mindset. So, the same way you got there is the same way you're going to get out of it. Except you, don't think. You need to stop thinking. But how did you develop a particular mindset?
Environment.
Yeah, but you heard it and then you played it in your head over and over again. So what if you played this in your head? I am worthy. If you didn't hear, what I said was, I am worthy. What if we just kept playing that in our head? The best way to get rid of an old habit is to do what? Replace it with a new one. So why don't we say tall girls can't wear heels? Well, this one does. Dark-skinned girls don't wear red lipstick. Well, this one does. Other mindsets. We live in Ghana, so there's a lot. Badiagun kasapi. You know, single women shouldn't live alone.
You need to get married before you move out.
Marriage gives you worth. I'm not worthy if I'm not married. You're worthy by virtue of existing. Like, bloop. You're worthy by virtue of existing. So it's like all these mindsets, right? If you're too outspoken, you'll find a husband. I'm very outspoken, and he's right there in the back. So, what?
Having a baby right since I'm married.
Ooh. Right.
Or having a baby before marriage.
Or having a baby, period, right? Like, it's like, I'm validated, as women, it's like I'm validated through motherhood, or I'm validated through wifehood, or I'm validated through daughterhood, or I'm just validated through and by and through how I show up for others. That's where my validation lies. And it's a constant. But what if we decided that, no, my validation lies in like being a sovereign human being. Like my validation lies in existing. My validation just lies by virtue of being here. And yeah, it's kind of like not rocket science, but I'm going to make sure that every woman knows that and hears that, right? Oh, sorry, sis, you're yawning. Yeah, so the same ways we absorb the old mindsets, like you said, environment, right? So we take on, so how do we even hear these new mindsets? Got to change your environment. Remember I told you, I hang out with Oprah and them all the time. All the time. Change your channel. Change your channel. Find a way to just get the right information into your system. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook so you get there. No, but seriously, change your environment. Get some new friends, shift it. And like I said, your friends don't have to be like your real friends. Like I have, I told you Oprah, and I hang out with Oprah and them all the time through her podcast and other people's podcasts and books and information. Just absorb new mindsets. You literally have to do it by force. Some of my toughest days, that's why I love journaling, because I can read back to the days when I was really tough and still pretending to be perfect, and I can read some of the things I'll do, I'll just write it over. I remember when we were kids, my dad, whenever we did something wrong, my dad would make us write things 200 times. I will never tell a lie again. I will never I will never lie to daddy again. 200 was when he was feeling generous. We would have to write 500 or 1,000, like really sit down 500 times. I will never tell a lie again. I will never steal. I will never leave the house and come back after curfew. Like we had to write it down hundreds of times. And by that time, you're like, I would never. But what he was doing, besides just punishing us to like tire out our hand, he was making us absorb a concept, writing it down over and over again. And so I got into the habit also of when I really want to absorb something, like take it in on a cellular level, I write it down over and 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 over. So I guess like, I don't know, punishment or whatever has turned into like a good life. I'm going to show him this part of the video and be like, thank you. Has turned into a really good life practice because I go back to that when I want something to be absorbed. So what are some mindsets that I want you to ask yourself this question? What are some mindsets that hold me back from showing up for myself? Mine was definitely never good enough. It's never good enough. What I put out, even what I receive, what I see, it's never good enough. It's never good enough. And I shifted that to good enough is good enough. Took a lot of work, a lot of therapy sessions, a lot of money in those therapy sessions. But we got there, and that's what matters. So this worksheet, of course, is for you. You can always take it back, think through it, so we can move right on. And we will go to our last point of the day. Oh, I'm going to miss you guys. And it is, how do we grow? So we'll go to our last point of the day, and then we'll move on to our next segment, which is a question and answer with our special guest, Nana. Because she's like a goddess. So how do we grow past social cultural norms in order to preserve health and wellness? Social cultural norms, child. What are some? I want to hear some. Don't put yourself first.
Put yourself first.
That's a social cultural norm?
No, I'm saying
that's
how you go past it.
Yes, this is true. But what are some social you done skipped. Okay, so you skipped from, okay, so we're just, Maureen said forget about it. What are some social cultural norms? Because these are real.
Having to maintain respect for people who are not good for your mental health just because they're older than you. So, Auntie over there is stressing the hell out. Hi, Auntie. Just saying, having to maintain that level of just respect because, we respect our elders no matter what.
No matter what. Another thing for me is also having to, and if there are any family members who in this room, having to accommodate people as family just because I'm related to you. My relatives and my family are two different things. To me, they're not the same thing. And then having to be called rude or angry or impossible because you're having to accommodate certain ideals and certain individuals because it's hey, mami Kitswanye. And it's what? I don't know her. But I understand. These cultural practices came to preserve us in some type of way. A lot of these cultural practices I don't necessarily believe have place in a modern society. That's my personal opinion. I'm not trying to impose that. But I also feel like the pressure of it can get a bit much. And I think I've seen this in my own family. The pressure is much more harshly opposed on female lives, right, than it is on the men in our lives. Right? My brothers can skip out on
everything.
And they don't get the same sort of harsh, well, you need to, you have to, you need to, you have to. Right? Well, I think culture should change. I think that we conflate tradition and culture. Tradition is our customs, is our heritage, it's our history. Culture is how we live our lives. And like you said, culture is values. And so there should be room for culture to evolve, right? And there should be room for certain cultural changes to take on, right, their own face, right? I think you had a comment.
doesn't culture evolve anyways? I mean, if by your definition, I feel like culture is never something.
It's not stagnant.
Set in stone. It's just a matter of the collective consciousness of the people in that drive the culture.
Right. So we're in a space where the collective consciousness is such that there's a lot of resistance to sort of cultural change in certain spaces. It's not impossible. I don't want to make it seem like we live in societies that don't evolve, but the internalization of all these things means that we don't talk about it as often as we should, and we're not open about it as often as we should, right? And I said this before we started, like, my purpose is to shift paradigms. So, like, I'm never going to be quiet about things, right? I'm always going to have something to say about how we can evolve and change. So hopefully through these spaces like this one, spaces like my own, spaces like what Nana does over at Bliss Yoga, with Lakeisha's work as a PR expert, with Mommy's storytelling through film, we are able to cause sort of to bring these conversations to the fore and consistently have them, right? And to show up and have the vulnerability. So on that note, the only point I have for this is to practice empathy. Practice empathy. Traditions and these cultures, they evolve for a reason, right? They don't just fall from the sky, right? And by practicing empathy, because like I said, a lot of things we consider as mutually exclusive are not mutually exclusive. I can honor tradition, honor culture, and still honor my true self. I can say, hey, auntie, it's nice to see you. I need a moment for myself. In that moment, you honored both auntie and yourself. But it's hard because I'd be scared sometimes. Oh my gosh, I'd be so scared. Hey, auntie, I need a moment. You know, you're still going to get the side eyes, whatever, but it's like you have to be at a place where you're willing to take the side eyes and not let it sort of affect your mood. And that takes practice, that takes time, you know. And thankfully for me, I've received the beautiful reputation of she comes if she likes, and she doesn't when she doesn't. I'm so grateful because I think I've gradually been able to kind of train the people in my life of how I want to be engaged. If you live your truth long enough, people start saying, oh yeah, this one is the one.
Right.
Everybody has that one auntie who your mom and your rest of the aunties and your dad are always kind of like, she's a little off. She's kind of, that auntie is the one who, demanded a certain way of being. Typically, and you don't understand because like all the cousins, all the kids love them, but the adults, you know, the grown folks are kind of like, she's off, he's off. But then the cousins, the younger people are like, that's the cool aunt, that's the cool uncle. Usually that's because that's the individual who made a decision and said, this is how y'all gonna deal with me. Like this is how I show up. Yeah. This is what y'all gonna get. And they're unapologetic about it. When I grew older, I realized that was what was happening. The people who were quote unquote problematic in families were usually the ones who were speaking up for themselves and saying, no, no, I prefer this, I prefer X. And I'm not saying go and be an outcast in your family, please. But I am saying it is possible because this individual is always and still always invited to everything. So it is possible to demand that you are sort of like regarded in a certain way. And you can honor both. You can honor yourself and honor family and tradition. But it takes empathy to do that. It takes appreciation of what has existed. And making a decision and say, I honor this, but I also, more than anything, honor myself. As Maureen so beautifully said in the beginning of this discussion, put your needs first. And I know it sounds selfish. We'll go over that. I don't mean put your needs first in like a really selfish way. That's like another conversation. But recognizing that you can honor your true self and still honor culture and tradition. It doesn't have to be mutually exclusive, right? You can both show up at the family event and still insist that there's vegan options. That's me. The only way I'm coming to this family dinner is if I'm being accommodated for it, because y'all know I don't eat meat. In the beginning, it was a bit of a struggle, but people began to understand. Okay, she's that weird one who eats vegetables. And I've had aunties make vegan shito for me, found just all of a sudden just gotten creative about things, just by saying, I'll come, but just understand I don't plan on starving. So, is this going to be something I can eat? And aunties get creative. Sometimes I bring my own food, but that's another discussion. But aunties get creative, and I've seen the creativity happen. All of a sudden, there's vegan shito. All of a sudden, there's a benkwai with no meat. All of a sudden, there's all these options just popping out of nowhere. So, on that note, we'll go to the next segment of our discussion, and we're going to invite Nana.